It is the one cold case that every Toronto police officer wants to see closed. The murder of 9-year-old Sharin Morningstar Keenan more than 3 decades ago. It shattered lives then and haunts many to this day. And even though the chances of finding the main suspect, Dennis Melvin Howe, is slim, Toronto police continue their hunt for him. It is a murder that leaves an entire city on edge. Sharin Morningstar Keenan was last seen alive playing in a park on January 23, 1983. She had spent the day with her mother and was told to be home by 4. She never turned up. Instead, her body was found stuffed in the refrigerator of a room in a nearby rooming house rented to Dennis Melvin Howe. He had disappeared.
We've done an extensive investigation on this case over the years, looking for the person responsible for it. We've come up short every time.
Detective Sergeant Stacey Gallant is with the Toronto Police Cold Case Squad. He's confident that Howe, who if he is alive would have turned 76 a month ago, is their man.
Her body was found in his apartment. That, along with other evidence, I can't really get into what the other evidence is, but it all leads to him and points to him. At
the time, there were accusations police had mishandled the investigation. It took a month for Howe to be identified as her alleged killer. He was last seen in Sault Ste. Marie the day after Sharin disappeared. He was getting on a bus to Winnipeg. He had family out west, including a half-brother, Eugene Nelson, who took a dozen trips to Washington and Montana after the murder. When asked by police why, he stopped going. Nelson died in 2004, having never said why.
I think it's incumbent upon his family members to come forward and provide information, anything that they have that might lead to where he is, alive or dead, and put this case to rest.
About 3 years ago, reports surfaced that an Idaho repairman might be Howe. Bob Miller looked similar to an age-enhanced photo of Howe, but last year, Miller, who claims to have met Howe, was cleared.
It's disappointing when it turns out not to be. We've had many tips that come in and, it looks really good, the information's positive, everything looks good, but then at the end of the day it just falls apart and it's not the right person.
Sharin's mother and father separated not long after her murder. Linda Keenan has not talked about her daughter's death in some time. Brendan Karen died last year without ever having closure.
Even when you have a case where it's solved and the person is found guilty in court, there's still no closure. There's then the parole board hearings afterwards, and there's when the person possibly gets out of jail, and it's always lingering in the back of the family's minds.
Coming up on City News tonight at 11, we speak to the constable who found Sharin's body. It drove him to quit the force.